Howdy. Wednesday, December 14th in Chilliwack, British Columbia on Elk Mountain. Happy almost holidays. Figured I'd give a quick summary of 2022 and update into 2023, just based on racing, running stuff specifically. But as you can see, it's a pretty nice spot that I call home, and I have Elk Mountain to myself. It is the middle of the day right now, 12:30, so I scooched out of work for a lunch break, and this is my favorite place to take a lunch break for all of the obvious reasons. I would like to start by thanking my sponsors for 2022, including Salomon, and I'm wearing the new Salomon S-Lab Genesis trail shoe right now. It's my first time running in that shoe. Matthew Blanchard finished second at UTMB in this shoe, so I am fully expecting to perform at least that level, at minimum or better. That was promised. There was a little slip in the package that guaranteed podium performances with this shoe. And I have a black diamond spike on there as well because I'm running in the snow. Along with Salomon, I would also like to give a shout out to Squirrel's Nut Butter. You cannot see that product in action. If you don't know what it is, you might want to Google it. It has nothing to do with squirrels and lots to do with nuts. And also Trail Butter, still love those guys. They have granola, and it is my favorite snack, and now they have 3 or 4 different flavors of granola, so definitely check that out. Endurance Tap maple syrup out of Ontario, good Canadian company there. So all of those companies, check them out, give them some support. And Princeton Tech headlamps, almost forgot, Princeton Tech headlamps as well. Anyways, today, Wednesday, December 14th, and I'll start running here in a sec maybe, but it's kind of nice and I'm not in a rush to get back down. When you get out and get to spend time in the mountains with these views by yourself, you kind of want to take advantage of it as much as you can. If you peek over that way behind me, you can see there's more goodness over that way too. But yeah, summary of my 2022 racing season. I did 4 races and 1 FKT. So I raced my own race called Conquer the Vedder, which is in Chilliwack in May. It's a multi-sport race, solo or relay, paddleboarding, biking, gravel or mountain, and trail running. I also did Meet the Minotaur, which is a badass, incredible mountain race in Alberta. I did the Knacker, which is my favorite 50K ever. I also did Around the Lake, which this is actually funny and perfect. So off in the distance over there, there is a lake. And the Around the Lake race goes around that lake. It's 30-ish kilometers right down there. And I did an FKT attempt successfully on Frosty Mountain in Manning Park. And basically, I had 2 really good performances this year, 3 really average struggle performances this year. But I feel like right now, for the middle of December, this is definitely the fittest I've been in many years, and I'm really looking forward to capitalizing on that and using this as a launching pad into 2023 for my race calendar there. Oh, at my first race of the year, Conquer the Vedder, which was in May, it was a 15-kilometer trail race with 1,000 meters of climbing, and I did that on a relay team, and I recruited the women's national stand-up paddleboarding champion and previous world champion, good friend Lina Gaitis, and 3-time Canadian cyclocross champion and good friend Michael Vandenham. So I was technically just getting my friends on my team, but my friends were ringers, and I was the weak link on that team. But I did have the fastest run time of the race. They had the fastest paddle and bike time, and as a co-ed team we won the race overall, which was super fun. I thought I was on a really good trajectory then in May for a successful season, and unfortunately I sustained an injury the next week that was with me for a month, and I lost my last training block before going into my back-to-back goal races of the summer, Meet the Minotaur and the Knacker. Both races, one at 30 miles, almost 50K, and one at only 20 miles, but with 10,000 feet of climbing, being 32 kilometers, 3,200 meters. So 2 very difficult races, and essentially I managed to recover from my injury a week before going to the first race. I got in one workout to, do you like that? Allow my legs to hold up to the beating at the Minotaur race. And even though in both of those races, so they were 3 weeks apart, I was 3rd in my age group podium. Neither race was very good for me. Both of them were a slog and quite a struggle. And while I enjoyed the race environment and experience, I was just really disappointed with really how I felt during those races. So I am actually planning to go back to both of those races again this year, upcoming in 2023, because I feel like I have some unfinished business and I'm not about to win those races because of how competitive they are, but at bare minimum I expect to be winning my age group, and I was nowhere near doing that at either of those races. So I'm excited to take this fitness forward and get another shot at those 2 events. And then in 2022 we got back to full events again. That's my main business, is directing races. And while that was fantastic to be able to do so, it also meant I was under the gun all year with those events. We normally do 7 in a calendar year, but because of COVID, we did 4 in the fall of 2021 and then 7 in 2022. So we ended up doing 11 races in 12 months when we normally do 7. And all that really meant was I wasn't able to get the necessary training in to get the fitness that was needed for those pursuits. So the results reflect the other stresses in life, and my business and family at this point in my life are priority number 2 and 1, 1 and 2, family, business, and racing is a luxury on top of that. And that's how it's going to be at this point in my life. But I feel really good going into 2023 about the events and everything being much more manageable again in this coming year. So then after the last event of 2022 that I was producing, that wasn't technically a fall. I was like, dance moves. That was a dance move. That was just some boogie down. Let's try not to do more boogie down. So after getting through the last race of the season to produce for me, which was in the middle of September, 3 weeks later, I felt like I had some good fitness again and did an FKT attempt on Frosty Mountain in Manning Park, and was very pleased with that effort and the result, which was 2 hours and 11 minutes from the lake to the top and back, which is 1,200 meters and 25 kilometers, I believe, approximately, for that one. And then 3 days later, this, though it certainly seems like a mistake, I knew exactly what I was doing. 3 days later, I did that around the lake race that I just mentioned, and struggled mightily because my body was wrecked from that FKT attempt 72 hours before that. But environmental variables, forest fire, smoke, time of year, meant I had to take advantage of that Frosty Mountain window, and I wanted that more than I wanted a result at the Around the Lake race. But I was very happy to still get 3rd, even though it was, again, a struggle with a battered body. So I did 5 race efforts in 2022. I had 2 that were what I would consider, for me, exceptional, that I was really proud of. And I had 3 that were quite average and a little bit disheartening, if I'm being honest. So a part of this tracks back to this thyroid issue that I have mentioned before that I'm working through. And while I have gotten into a really good space with my medication and my body and feeling strong, there seems to be a cap on that threshold that's much lower in terms of distance and time on feet than it's ever been before. So I felt like I could perform really well at sub 2.5 hour efforts, but the second I went over certainly 3.5 to 4 hours, it was noticeable the steep decline in performance and struggle. And I've taken it with a grain of salt. I'm hoping that now, being healthy for longer and putting in the training volume, that I can get back to a high level at those slightly longer distances again for next year. So then finally, next year, what exactly does next year hold for me on a racing front? As I have stated many times, I have not and did not apply for the Barkley Marathons. I'm happy to cheer others on and see other people succeed. I applied to the Hard Rock 100 lottery for the 6th time, 6 years, did not get selected, and now need another qualifier. You need one every other year to continue to apply to hopefully get into the Hard Rock. And right now, Hard Rock to me is the ultimate remaining 100-mile goal that I have never had the chance to do. So I need to get a qualifier to get in that lottery to hopefully get drawn into next year or the year after. And I've chosen the Fat Dog 120-mile race right here in BC in August as a Hard Rock qualifier, as my goal race for next year in that pursuit. I'll also be doing the Diaz Vista 50K at the beginning of April. It's the 25th anniversary of that race. It's a race I direct now for the last 5 years. So I'll be towing the line in that one along with all the previous race directors, which I'm really proud of, happy to see. I'll be planning to go back to meet the Minotaur. I'll be planning to go back to the Knacker if I get drawn in the lottery. And I'll be going to the Fat Dog 120. And when that gets added to my events calendar for directing, it's quite a full year, but I'm quite happy with how it's going to look. So that's what 2023 from a racing perspective will look like for me. And then a quick note, if you do pay attention and you know my wife, her name being Linda Barton, she was drawn onto the wait list for the Hard Rock 100 miler as number 5 in her category. It's the second time she's been drawn to number 5 on the wait list. The first time was 7 years ago, and we found out just days or weeks after that we were pregnant, and there was no pregnancy deferral policy at the time. So Linda was basically told, with these new buckets, these new categories, it might not actually roll to 5, which sounds inaccurate, but that's what we've been told. And Linda had already signed up for the Scout Mountain 100 miler in Wyoming, the Luke Nelson race, and we as a family couldn't just roll the dice for 6 months on an uncertainty. So she's pulled her name from the Hard Rock this year, and same as myself, she'll continue to apply in the hopes of getting drawn into the race so that we can make all of the necessary planning well in advance to have successful races in Silverton, Colorado. And with that, I want to say once again, I hope you have a wonderful holiday season and the rest of 2022. And I hope to see you on the trails in 2023.